friends, it's Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. For today's video, we are going to be setting up my sinking fund worksheet here for September. If you are not new here, then you will know that I like to keep track of my sinking funds here in my budget planner, which is just sort of a Franken planner that I put together myself using a Happy Planner disc-bound system and some worksheet printables that I created for myself. This one is for my sinking funds, so at the start of every month I just go through all of my sinking funds. I write out what the fund is and the beginning balance so that I can keep track of money that's coming into the sinking funds and going out throughout the month. So this is my September printable. I do have this available in my Etsy shop if you are interested in doing a similar setup. Here are my sinking funds. This is something new. I had put all of my sinking funds into this little mini accordion file a couple of months back when I did a big revamp. I had taken all of my sinking funds and pared them down to just 12 so that they would all fit in this little rainbow file. And that was working okay, except that I was, excuse me, that was working okay, except that I had combined some categories and it was making it difficult for me to remember, like my camping category, for example. It was just one category, but within that category I was trying to save money for multiple things. So my campsite, as well as camping equipment, as well as, you know, this and that and the other. And so it was difficult to kind of parse it out in my mind that there were multiple things going into that one category. So I've spread things out a little bit. I now have more than 12 categories, which means I could no longer use this little pocket accordion file. And what I really wanted to do was go on to an Etsy shop and buy one of those super pretty binders I see all of my friends here on YouTube using. But I thought to myself, it's silly to go and invest a bunch of money into a system that you don't know if it's going to work for you or not. And, you know, the whole purpose of this budgeting journey is to save money, not spend a ton of extra money. And I thought, okay, so I'll make something myself. So what I did was I went into my Silhouette Studio and I used my Silhouette Portrait to cut out some cardstock. I then laminated all of the cardstock, punched it using a punch, and put it on an extra set of Happy Planner discs. And now I have some cash envelopes here that are for all of my various sinking funds, and I made my own labels. It didn't turn out quite as nice as I kind of imagined it in my head. I had a hard time lining things up and cutting things straight, so these are all a little wonky here. They don't line up perfectly flush or anything, but they will work. The one thing that was kind of a bummer, though, was in the process of making this, I actually broke my paper punch, so I had to buy a new one. So this ended up costing me more than it would have probably to just go ahead and order that pretty binder and cash envelopes. But it is what it is. I have, you know, nice coordinating envelopes now. I did print out these labels for them and cut them and put them on the outside of the lamination. I did that way if I change out what my funds are and I want to just easily, you know, change the name of my envelope here, I could easily do that just by peeling the label off and sticking a new one on, versus having to go in and make a whole new envelope if I had put the label on the inside of the lamination. So I think now I have about 16 or 17 funds, and I can always add more if I need to. I decided against kind of doing the whole process on camera because well, actually, I did do some of the process on camera. I was filming the process of changing all of my sinking funds out and separating things, but it just got really long and I was kind of trying to figure it out as I went. So ultimately, I decided just to scrap that footage and come on and show you what I did and fill out my sinking fund tracker here. So I took some of the categories that I had previously and separated them out. For example, my camping fund was broken out into camper electric and campsite. And I also might at some point throw in a category for camping supplies or camping gear, that sort of thing. So what I did was I just took the amount that I had in my camping fund in my accordion file, split it up between the two categories, and did it that way. Likewise, car became car maintenance and car registration. Christmas is still its own fund. Clothing is still its own fund. Holidays. Home became home insurance and home projects. I am no longer saving household items in here. I've decided, again, to change that from a sinking fund to a cash envelope. I go back and forth with that a lot. But I think I'm going to try it out again in September as a cash envelope and see how that goes. I've got hunting, which was a fund that I had completely forgotten to include when I set everything up here, and so hunting season's right around the corner and we haven't saved any money. It's really bothering me how not centered this label is, but it's fine. I'm not going to mess with it because I'm just going to destroy it. I have medical still, pets, school, spending, and subscriptions. And I might even do separate envelopes for all of my subscriptions because I do have quite a few subscriptions. But for now, this is what I'm going to work with. We'll see how it goes. No promises that this is going to work out. I might be changing it up again next month, but for now, this is what I've done. So we're going to start out by writing in the fund and the beginning balance of each one of my sinking funds, and I'm also going to go ahead and count the cash because I went through really quick and just separated everything and switched things up, and I want to make sure that my cards are accurate. So the first fund then is business expenses, and this is actually a brand new fund. For a while now, I've been keeping track of my taxes, but I haven't been putting aside any money for business expenses. And I do have a few business expenses that I pay for every month. Business expenses, really. I'm considering my business, my Jwhackers here on YouTube and on Etsy. So yeah, right now this fund is completely empty since we are just starting out, but I did create a little index card to keep track of it, and that is good to go. So beginning balance there is 0. Next up, I have business taxes. I really just wrote business in front of that taxes so that it would be alphabetically right here with the business expenses, since these go hand in hand. Whenever I bring in any income from my YouTube or my Etsy, I will put a portion of it away for expenses, a portion of it away for taxes, and then whatever's left I will add into my typical budget. So my taxes is starting out with $1,158. That is just a direct transfer from my little accordion file to the folder here that I made, or the envelope, I guess. But really quickly, I'm going to count it anyway, just to make sure. I did go ahead and update all of my index cards while I was changing things around as well. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 50, 100, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 56, 57, 58. So I do have $1,158 here. I do like to keep my sinking funds in cash, but I'm actually considering taking some of this and depositing it into the bank just because it's a lot of cash to have on hand all at once. Maybe I'll buy some of those, like money cash slips that you can use in place of real cash that looks like real money, but it's not. I see a lot of people using those here on YouTube, so that's something I'm considering. Let me know what you think about that. Right now, my business doesn't bring in enough to have to pay my taxes quarterly, so they just get paid once a year. So really, I just build up the cash throughout the year and pay it all out at once. So something for me to think about, but for now, I'm just going to stick it right back here in this envelope and move on to our next fund, which is Camper Electric. So this is the electric bill that we pay at our campground. And we are starting out with $100 in here. So I took that camping sinking fund I had in my little accordion file and just split it up. 100 of it went to the camper electric fund and the rest went to our campsite fund. So the starting balance then for September is $100, and that is what I have in here. Next is that campsite fund. And this one has $802. So really quickly, just going to count it up and make sure that's what I have. Since I did this in kind of a hurry, kind of flipped through everything and switched everything up. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 1, 2. Alright, so that is perfect. Moving on to car maintenance. I'm so excited to have my car fund split up again so that I am making sure that I'm saving for car maintenance as well as for registration, car tabs, that sort of thing. So our car maintenance fund then has $307. That's what I decided to take from my car fund and keep for car maintenance. 50, 100, 50, 200, 50, 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then for the car registration, I decided to do $200, and that is what I have here. So this is just for our car tabs every year, as well as if we need to like renew our driver's licenses or something, we can take money out of here to do that. Alright, oops. Next up is Christmas, and this was just a direct transition from one folder to another. None of the amounts changed here. Even so, I'll go ahead and count it really quick. It says that it has $895. I didn't even bother writing a new card for this one since there's still so much space. 1, 2, 3, 350, 4, 450, 5, 550, 6, 650, 7, 758, 850, 870, 890, 895. It's not quite what I would like to have in our Christmas fund. I wish we had more, but it's okay. We still have some time before Christmas rolls around. Next up is clothing. And our clothing fund is starting out September completely empty. We have quite a few funds that are starting out empty. Holidays has $75 in it. So I still kept my holidays combined and didn't split those out just because we don't pay a ton of money for the holidays outside of Christmas. So like Thanksgiving, we need like $100. 4th of July, we need like $100. Easter, we need like $100. So, well, actually Easter's a little bit more, but not a ton. It's not in the 1,000 range like Christmas is. So holidays does have 75, 50, 60, 70, 75. So that's all set. I'm really happy with this system. One thing is that a lot of these funds are empty and already. This is pretty chunky, so I might have to put them on the expander discs at some point down the line, but for now I'm just using like classic size discs. Alright, next up is home insurance, and this is the main reason I decided to split my funds back out, is because I totally forgot about home insurance. It was supposed to be going into my home folder here, and I just kept forgetting about it. So I've saved nothing for home insurance, which is not a good thing. So I'm glad that it's all separated out now. Next I have home projects. So this will be any kind of home upgrades we want to do, and also just like basic home maintenance things. For sure, I know that we want to replace our windows in our home. We've been talking a little bit over the past few months about whether we're going to try to move sooner or later. Originally, we were thinking about trying to buy a house pretty quick here in the next year or two, but I think we've decided to stay in our home a little bit longer, save up for a down payment, and kind of wait for the housing market to calm down. So we do want to do some upgrades to our house, new windows, that sort of thing, just to kind of both make it nicer to live in now, but to also try to up the value to sell it. We live in a mobile home. The value doesn't go up a ton, regardless of what you do to it, really, but there's some talk about the possibility of a family member buying this place from us at some point, so we'll see. I don't know exactly what the plan is for long term, but I know that right now we have nothing in our home projects folder, so that's something we'll be adding to in September. Next up is hunting, which also has nothing, but this is definitely a priority for us. Hunting season starts in October, so we don't have very much time to save for this. Luckily, the only thing that my husband really needs for the hunting season is his hunting licenses, and I don't think he needs anything else. I could be wrong, though. Next up is medical, which right now is empty. Like I said, a lot of these funds are starting out empty, but they will not remain that way for long. After that, we have pets. This, again, is just a direct transfer from one folder to another. Nothing changed here with the amounts. There's $88 in there right now. 50, 70, 80, 85, 86, 87, 88. So that's perfect. And when I was doing this, every single one of these cards I wrote in a deposit date of 8/1 instead of 9/1 because I was still in a September mindset. Next up is school. School's starting out empty. Definitely need to bulk this up in September. And that's another reason why I like to kind of do a little check-in and get this all set up, is because I can easily at a glance see some of these funds have been neglected and they definitely need some love in the new month. So our spending account right now is also empty. We drained a lot of these funds trying to play catch up with some of the overspending we did in August. And lastly, I have subscriptions. So you can see I definitely have more funds than I did this time last month, but still not a ton. I could definitely spread this out even further and do more funds. I might do that, but for now we're starting with these and we'll see how it goes. So this should have $24 in it, and it does. So that is what we are starting September with for subscriptions. All right, friends, so that is it for my sinking fund setup, with the exception of just adding everything up to see exactly how much I have in here. It should be $3,649, because that's what I ended August with, as you can see here. So I'm just going to double check, make sure that that's what I have here, because I did do some moving things around and I don't want to be in a position where I didn't do everything properly. So let's go ahead and add it up. So we have 1,158 plus 100 plus 802 plus 307 plus 200 plus 895 plus 75 plus 88 plus 24 is indeed $3,649. I guess I'm going to put the total in down here. Since I have more funds now, I will likely have to do a second sinking funds tracker when I do my mid-month check-in, because I don't think all of these categories would fit a second time here like they did in August when I had fewer categories. But that is it. This is all set up now. Now I can kind of start planning out my plan for sinking funds in September. I know for sure all of these funds with nothing in them need to get bulked up. So that's what I will keep in mind then each week when I go to stuff my sinking funds. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this little system. I think it's going to work out just fine. For now, I might still buy a pretty binder at some point down the road, but for now, this was a relatively affordable project, with the exception of the fact that I broke my punch trying to do it. But I really am happy with it. These are very sturdy envelopes. They're not perfect by any means. They're definitely a little crooked here and there, and not of good enough quality to like sell or anything, but they work perfectly fine for me. So let me know if you think there are any sinking funds missing from my little stack here. I'd love to hear from you. What sinking funds do you have? Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends!